The relationship between Turkey and the United States has diminished over the last several weeks. After approaching the brink of a crisis, the United States and Turkey pulled back and agreed to improve strained relations. The tensions that existed involved matters of foreign policy, particularly in Syria. Talking Points analyst Thomas St. Hilaire is here to talk about what all of this means. Thomas, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Now, tensions in the region are running extremely high. What are the disagreements over policy in Syria exactly?
Right. Well, the main disagreement, I guess you could say, could actually really boil down to one sentence, which is the fact that Turkey's launching a full assault against the Kurds in Syria, and they happen to be the United States' primary ally in combating the Islamic State. Now, this is obviously not a very new conflict. You've been hearing about it actually over the last several years, but it's been escalating. And that's the biggest thing here. And the reason that it's escalating is when you look at the region right now, that both countries have taken this foreign policy approach of they're going to pursue their own foreign policy, they're going to pursue their own interests. When it gets to the point where they're both on the same battlefields, that's obviously where you run into the same conflict, and that's why these two countries are really at odds about this.
And why does this disagreement cause so much tension and cause it to be so high? Why are tempers like that?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is you're seeing that the United States is playing less of a role right now in the sense that, again, it's been pursuing this foreign policy where it's really been pursuing its own agenda, which is to defeat the Islamic State militants. And on top of that, they have a very different perception of what the Kurds stand for. I mean, in Turkey, they view them as violent separatists. They view them as a threat to national security. The United States views them as a very formidable ally in combating the Islamic State. So naturally, when you have these two different views on this one group, you're going to have these really high tensions, and they're not going to get better when you don't discuss them or address them.
And Thomas, some of the conflict has been resolved. How exactly were all the players within these tensions able to accomplish that?
Right. Well, I mean, the biggest thing here is, now some of it, to be clear, is being postponed. So it's not a complete resolution, but both countries have come to terms that they want to get this solved. So while I think both countries would want to, over the last week or so to come out with concrete policies to address this, they are in agreement that both countries cannot take care of this alone. They have to work together in solving the problems that they're dealing with.
And can we expect those improvements to continue, or does this sort of look like it's going to be ongoing?
That's tough to say, because right now, I mean, we've seen that these tensions have been extremely high for a very long time. So it's going to take a lot of change. Now, I think there is reason to believe that there will be improvement, because both countries, we've seen Secretary of State Rex Tillerson come out and be very clear that he wants to work with Turkey, make change, and have an improved relationship, because these two countries do not want to be in this conflict with one another.
Thomas St. Hilaire, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you very much.